Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Jason Shea, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the field.
Every product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat like change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Hi, welcome to Toy Business Unboxed podcast. I'm your host, Jason Shea. And in today's episode, I'm interviewing Michael, a veteran in the toys and the consumer product industry, who is now leading Plush manufacturing at Fairfield Processing Corporation. Michael's background spanning from working with various of different branded toys and companies. And today he's also at the forefront in the plush industry, overseeing the production of everything from 16-inch plush to 8-foot teddy bears. So you got those super giant ones that they also make. And we'll dive into the world of plush design and how his company has grown as like one of the powerhouse in US-based manufacturing for the plush industry. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So can you kind of tell our audience about how you got started in the toy industry and what led you to your current position?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so how I got started in consumer products and in the toy industry was actually through my wife, who was a retail toy buyer. And I met a lot of the people that were in her industry, and they said, hey, why don't you come over here and work with us? And so I had started that. It was for a rep group that was dealing with the secondary channel. We worked with MGA Little Tykes, Upper Deck, Cranium, some other toy and games manufacturers in there. So I really got started with a lot of the grocery and drug channel.
I see. And how long have you been working with Fairfield so far?
I have known Jordan Young, our president and CEO, for more than 15 years, and I've been working here for coming up on 5 total years where I've been working with Fairfield.
I know Fairfield has been around since the 1940s, right? So
yeah, pretty on the nose. You nailed it. Yeah. So third generation family owned U.S. manufacturer, have 2 locations in Danbury, Connecticut, and our powerhouse facility in St. Louis, Missouri.
And based on some of my research, the company also has evolved over from the early years of processing just like natural fibers to nowadays we focus a lot on like making and producing plush toys. I guess if you can also kind of share a little bit about how that has come around and how like maybe why did the company make that decision on changing?
Yeah. So I mean, the story, funny that you mentioned it. It's in the National Archives. So originally Fairfield, where Danbury, Connecticut is and was the hat making capital of the world. So wool processing, making hats. Our corporate facility is actually in the old hat making factory of Mallory's that is in there. So in the early 60s, when John F. Kennedy got inaugurated as president, he was the first president to not be wearing a hat. And so if you've ever seen the show that was on AMC, Mad Men, where they were wearing hats a lot in the beginning, and then it really fell off towards the end as it changed, that was the same thing that happened. So Sam Young, our president at the time, was working with DuPont on what to do with polyester fiber. And so we ran it through some of our proprietary processing machines. It turned it into these fluffy clouds, and it worked out to be a great doll and pillow stuffing. And that's where it got started.
I see.
So the brand name and registered trademark we have right above me that's here, it's Polyfill. That is our registered trademark. We are kind of like the Kleenex to facial tissue. So when you see that red sign that says Polyfill, that's us.
I see. Yeah. I think you can see it in all the major arts and crafts stores as well.
A lot of presence in those stores. A very loyal fan base. Yeah.
For sure. And your company also designs some of your own plush, if I understand correctly.
Some under our brand. We do a lot of private label. For major U.S. retail. And the real benefit is the cube savings and the final leg of the journey, if you will, coming to life. But yes, we do some subcontract work where we will manufacture for others in the plush space. We also deal with pillows and dog beds and all things like that that can use a fiber or foam filling. We do have our own brand name that's in there. We have some of our own proprietary designs that we do in different shapes and fills and that kind of stuff. But yeah, we do a lot of private label in association with U.S. retailers.
And in our pre-interview, you mentioned also in our previous conversation, some of the product actually went viral on social media. Can you kind of share that story as well? How one of the product went viral?
Yeah. So it was really fun. We made a very soft and elastic feeling bear. It was at Walmart this last Valentine's season, and it was like a gem colored bear, a simple bear, and it had a very luxurious siliconized fill and all of that's in there. I have some samples, but just not right here, right at my fingertips. So sorry about that. But it went crazy on TikTok and Instagram, and they were selling out. It was a 16-inch bear. That was it's a very simple, basic design, but it just took off and resonated with people. And a lot of that has to do with how it feels. It's very much with Plush. It's either in the shell and how luxurious the shell feels, or also how huggable is it. And this was just it was a great partnership with a great retailer, and we had a really good time. It took off. It was on TikTok and Instagram, Facebook. There were several millions of views, a lot of comments and likes, and it was selling out the day that it would get into store.
Were the people dancing with the bear? What are they doing?
It actually went a little bit insane to me, but on the secondary market, people would try and resell it online, and they were putting it for 5-6 times the retail. Yeah, it was interesting. It was a really it was a fun one to get behind.
I see. Interesting. And you kind of mentioned like some of the reason why you kind of stand out because of the material. Any other thing that you because I think a lot of the toy company I talk to is like, how can I make my product go viral? So what are some of the major, like, I guess, lesson learned or takeaway based on that experience that you notice, okay, maybe there's some criteria of how our product went viral versus other product that you also make that didn't went viral?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a great question. I would love to have that formula for everything that we do. It's definitely one that we thought it was a great item. We really liked it. I mean, us as a U.S. manufacturer, we also can control several different ways the item feels because we control the fill. We have we have a real proprietary way of handling and managing all of that manufacturing part. So how it interacts and how you can really feel it. As far as it goes on the item and how and why it went viral, I think that has a lot to do with our retail partner on that one and their presence. A lot of people are walking into, a major national retailer like that, and they see it, and a lot of people that's how they're getting views. They film themselves going into stores, and when a couple of people that got followers, they like it. Next thing you know, it was wildfire. It did have an end cap, so that never hurts to have that kind of placement and have a retail buyer that's such a great partner to be with you and to believe in the item as well. How fast it took off, it was days after it set.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's a very interesting success story for sure. And what you just mentioned is also a perfect segue to one of my next question, because with so many plush toys being manufactured and produced overseas, what are some of the advantage and also maybe some of the challenge of manufacturing plush in the United States?
Sure. Yeah, no, it's a great question. So some of the benefits, I'll start with those, and then I'll give you the challenges to answer that in 2 parts. The benefits are really the lower amount of containers, and especially during the peak of COVID when containers were $18,000 to $22,000 and things were crazy. The cost on something like this, that's a large cube item that doesn't weigh much, it really there was a lot of cost of freight on any of those that was in there. So the real benefits that we have is also getting it right into the heart of the country in St. Louis, Missouri, where it is so easy to ship from and to get things out. There's a lot of people that will bring something into the West Coast, and then it's got to traverse 3,000 miles to get all the way to the East Coast. We're right in the heart. So it's pretty even. It makes it the over road time a little bit less. The challenges that we have as far as US manufacturing on anything Plush, it's anything that's too small. That's, that's where you don't get that balance between, the US manufacturing, the cost of labor, the cost of materials, but we really find that balance equals out. It's really at about 16 inches. That's how we do
16 inches.
it.
Okay.
That's where we do like tens of millions of pillows a year. There is a lot that we do as a US manufacturer to help support and actually, with several retailers, help improve their carbon footprint scoring and anything that is out there in that way.
I see. Okay, yeah, that's definitely a very interesting number that you shared. 16 inches, like a sweet spot, sounds like.
There are larger, like you had mentioned at the beginning, those 8-foot bears. And we don't make a ton of those. We've made a few of them, in our years. And, anything from like these behind me are about a, 3.5, 4-foot bear. That's in there. Those day in and day out easily are better from a U.S. filled perspective, filled and finished here.
I see. And what material do you typically use for the plush toy itself, and how does it impact? You mentioned about the feel and the quality of the final product.
Yes, it's all polyester that is on the shell itself and on the fill. Recycled PET on the fill, and there's sometimes you can get some spandex in there. You can get some softer velboas, some longer pile furs. There's a lot that can be done there. We do everything from embroidered to plastic eyes on those. Yeah,
I see. And you mentioned one of your core thing that you specialize in is really private label manufacturing. How much work does your customers still need to do in shaping the design and providing all the file and the document that your team need? Can you walk the listener through how the process typically works?
Sure. Yeah. So both sides come together at the beginning when it comes to like a trend deck or a trend guide. Like this is what we're seeing as far as in the world of toys. So we'll look at everything from harder plastic toys to home decor design trends, when it comes to color palettes or different fabrics and materials, things that are there. Then from that point, it depends on the customer. Some are very involved and they want to get like exactly involved as far as size or how the face looks or what the eyes have. Or others, they ask us to do it for them and then to give them one or two options. So there's a couple different ways that we go about it. It has to do with dealing with a value proposition, as far as, hey, where's the retail going to be? Where everybody is kind of on eggshells right now, wondering from the toy world, are there going to be crazy tariffs? Are there going to be things that are going to impact and how does that retail? Right now, when you look at someone like us, if there's going to be tariffs that come in, it's only on a component. It's not on the whole good. So if a whole good comes in, you're paying a tariff on the whole cost of a completed item versus just a component. So there's some help in savings there with either a manufacturer that needs us to help finish that leg for them or a retailer where we can come in and provide that full service solution. Either way. But
yeah, that's definitely a big worry. I also worry about it myself because all my brand, all my product currently is all manufactured in China. So if there's a huge increase in tariff, it's going to really spike.
It's impact the price of the goods. It's going to impact the retail. Absolutely. That's things that as we look at our business and our partnerships, either with retailers or manufacturers, that is one major benefit that we have as doing that big final leg here.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's another way to drive down the cost of the goods that way, and also not just save on shipping, but also save on tariff as well.
Yeah. Well, and it really helps with that, that eco score, that carbon footprint, that lower. When we've gamed it out and looked at, say, like a 3-foot teddy bear, you're saving 25 to 1 on containers. It's impactful. On how much, not just the cost of freight, but also how many containers are getting moved.
I see. And I know your current company also work with a lot of like product, just so the audience understand the scope. How many units is being produced at one of your like main facility right now? And how many facilities do you currently have? Is it just one large?
We have 2 facilities. that we operate in, and that's Danbury, Connecticut, where corporate headquarters is, and then St. Louis, Missouri. How many different products are you asking, like product categories? Or are you looking at like how many like total items? What are
I
you
guess
looking
total item first, and we can talk about all the different kind of category.
Yeah, so well, I mean, it's tens of millions that go through. So we are a large manufacturer that goes through and that's out there, and millions of plush toys that go and have gone through our facilities over the years. Yeah, I mean, we're private, so there's only certain things that I can really divulge that's
Sure,
on there,
sure.
but definitely we are a large scale U.S. manufacturer.
I see. And I know Fairfield also have a strong focus in maintaining the product quality and the customer satisfaction. How do you ensure like consistency across such a large scale operation like the one
Mhm.
you mentioned?
Yeah, we have. So we've gone through several audits, and we have a really great product management QA in our operations team. So we run everything through AQL testing standards with ourselves, and each one of the operators. The tough thing, this isn't like injected or molded plastic. Like, hey, did it get to the full edges? Did it have the overages, and is it cleaned up? This is something that is really has a lot to do with feel and how does that work, and is it within a weight tolerance? When it's fiber and it's polyester, it's a weight in, weight out kind of it. A certain weight creates a certain volume, but
Yeah.
also how it's distributed within the plush toy will make a big
Oh,
difference. If you make, say, the arms too hard or the head too hard, it's not going to have the same interaction with the child or the customer. And so we have a lot of training, and we have some fabulous operators that really know how, and they check them constantly. And then it gets to be like watching them has me in awe when I see how it's a talent, it's an art where they can fill these, where there's a consistency within how it's filled based on the time and where they fill it in what order. By no means am I an expert in it. I've tried it a few times. Yeah. My if I tried to put any of mine on a retail shelf, I'm sure it'd be unsaleable. But our team, they got a whole different approach.
For sure, for sure. And for our audience and the listener that are listening that might be considering to do like some kind of plush toy design, can you also walk us through, like, do you have like a minimum quantity requirement? What kind of people that usually that would be a best fit? You mentioned about the size earlier, about 16 inches and bigger. That would be the best type of plush toy. But any other criteria that you're
Yeah, so
recommending?
opening sizes, and different things with the equipment that we have. It's high speed, high output as far as the filling. So when we're working with contract customers, really for us, it's, we look at 1,000-piece minimum.
Yeah.
Because we run things within a work cell that's on there. The size of the cavity, like you just mentioned, Build-A-Bear, where they have that nozzle that's about the size of your thumb.
Yeah.
Ours is way bigger than that
Oh,
because we do much larger cavities. And
Yeah.
so, there's things that we can work on. We work with some people. We do a lot of mutual NDAs so that people are protected. We take that very seriously. We have a quality room where all of anybody's designs that are very proprietary, other customers can't come in there. And when we're running customers' production, we're not just letting anybody onto the floor. So there are things like that we are very protective of our contract manufacturing partners. So on top of that, it's really like what we require is like an image of an item. Do you have any specs on the item? Really for us, it's what's it filled with and how much. How is it closed? Like, on a lot of pillows, there's zippers. Does it need to be sewn closed? That kind of thing. We've seen and tried like Build-A-Bear. They have that ladder stitching. And we have tried to run that before, but we find that it doesn't pass the Child Safety Protective Act because it doesn't pass the finger probe. Kids can get their fingers in there. So we have to go with a zipper or a sewn closure in order for that, because that's our obligation as that finishing edge for that to go in with our audits on as far as a U.S. manufacturer. The other that we have is how is it packaged? So, we have a lot of different options with compression, with different cartons, different cube utilizations that go through. And then finally, how is it shipped? So, we do everything from big club programs that, go in on a CHEP or a PECO pallet, and then it goes through and out the door to, where Amazon and people like that are looking for a SIOC item to ship in its own container. And is it going to be only an 8-inch height? So it goes through their sorting facilities. We deal with all of it. So it just depends what's the end customer, what's the item that we're doing. Certain fibers are going to really rebound really well out of compression. Others take a little bit more massaging. Just by the nature of it, it'd be like the difference if you're a baker or anything, the difference between a pastry flour and a bread flour. Certain things are different.
I see. Thank you for that detailed explanation. I think that also
Sure.
helps kind of visualize the step. So, but as far as timeline goes, if let's just say one of the listeners is interested to engage and work with your company, how long does that usually take from like the initial design to like prototype to like actual productions?
So from the word go, it normally takes us 6 weeks to get things in the setup of getting items set up in our system, getting a confirmed PO here, there. Sometimes it takes a week or two if it's, hey, I have a design of an item. This is my item. I'm going to send you a shell. Can you fill it? This is our projected spec. This is what it looks like. Sometimes people will send us a filled example and say, can you match this? Can you match it how it feels? Can you match how it looks? What can you do there in different materials? And that's from everything from pillows to plush animals to dog beds. All of those things apply. So it can take a week or two. It takes us just less than a week, like 5 working days, to be able to import a sample, tag it, log it, record all of the data that's on it. And then we work with the customer. How do you want to pack it? What are we looking at here? Here are some different box configurations and options if we need to do a box fit test, make sure there's no bulging. Is it stackable within a warehouse? There are things from a manufacturing side in the US where we need to use height. And it's a lot different than like floor loading a container out of Asia. Load a container out of Asia, it's a 40-foot container, maybe a 40-foot high cube, but you're only going up maybe 90, 95 inches, something like that, that's inside that container. We're going upwards of 20 feet to stack. So the strength of how everything stacks, because we manufacture. And so we need to consider how is it stored as well as how is it manufactured. So there's really 2 parts to it. And so that'll help with the overland freight. But we also use USA corrugate and USA linerboard with all of our partners that are great packaging partners that we have. And they provide us with something, especially as we tested, that it's a little bit harder of a board than comes out of Asia.
I see. Okay, that's very different because I haven't been working with US-based manufacturing recently. I switched all my manufacturer partner to China a few years ago. Because of the cost and all the other.
Well, the cost of labor is so much less, and also there's a lot of manufacturing that's there, especially, when you consider plush shells and the fabrics that are being extruded as far as a polyester, that's where they're coming from. That's currently who is best at all of that right now is China as well. Yeah. I know some others have looked, they've looked around, and Vietnam and Cambodia, and even India is getting into some other different fabric manufacturing. But the US was always so strong, especially within cottons, and denims and so much of that there, but not always the same when it comes to a plush type of shell.
I see. Yeah, thank
We'll
you so
see
much.
what the world brings with that.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But thank you so much for sharing some of the story and the background. As we're kind of approaching toward the end of today's interview here, the final question I would always like to ask the guests is, if you have to share one piece of advice with someone that's about to getting started in the toy and game industry, what would that be?
So, that's a great question. So what is somebody, if they're getting started in the industry, what I got involved in it was people that I respected, liked, trusted, and then also working with, it was something that I could believe in, you know? And so I really liked the people that I was working with. There's always going to be somebody that's coming up with something new, something fun. There's always going to be something edgy, different, you know, especially in games and in toys and stuff there. I think it's really, to me, a lot of things that I do in my career and have done, it's about the people, and it's the people that you work with. And that's that. I know that's not always easy to find, but when you do find it, hang on to it.
Okay, that's a good advice. People is definitely a very important component.
You know, I mean, I've seen a lot of different designs of toys, Jason. I've seen, you know, all these different fun and unique games, and some of them have a quick burn, you know, and then it's a quick burn out, you know, and then things can get a little bit different, and the pressure can get on, and then people are turning on each other. I've seen it happen, you know. I mean, because that's fickle, you know, where what we do, you know, we're solution. And I think if somebody can, in the toy world, can look at themselves as a solution, and where can you be different and unique, but also get partners that think the same way. And so if you can be a solution to a retail buyer and they know that, then you're a partner for a long time.
For sure. So for our listeners who are interested, what is the best way for them to find you and your company? Is there like a form they can fill out for more information?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we have a form on our website. So that's Fairfield, FAIRFAILD, World, WORLD.com. And then there's a contract manufacturing, and there's a questionnaire that you can fill out. You also can reach me at Michael, MICHAEL, V as in Victor, at fairfieldworld.com. And I can direct you to a member of our team. I can help you out with any of that. We can tell you where to be able to send your samples for us to be able to test and fill. We'd be happy to help.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'll make sure I include that in the show note in the podcast as well. So, and for our listeners, thank you for tuning in into today's episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We hope you have enjoyed the conversation and find it insightful and inspiring. If you like what you have heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you'll never miss an episode. We really appreciate your support and would love it if you can leave us a review and share the podcast with your friend and colleague. For more resource tips and the latest update in the toys and game industry, visit our website at toy-launch.com. Join the conversation and connect with us on social media using hashtag #ToyBusinessUnbox, and we'll love to hear your feedback and suggestions for future episodes. Until next time, keep innovating, keep creating, keep bringing joy to toys. This is Jason Shea signing off on the Toy Business Unboxed podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, everyone.